most of us think we're good listeners. We nod, we keep eye contact, we even throw in the occasional, "I understand." But the truth is, most of the time we aren't listening to understand, we're listening to reply. Our minds are busy preparing our response, rehearsing what we want to say next, or rushing to insert our own story into the conversation. And in doing so, we miss the most valuable part of communication, the other person's truth. Listening to understand means silencing the ego. It's choosing to step out of your own narrative and step into someone else's world, even for just a moment. It's not about agreeing with them, it's about seeing through their eyes. When you listen this way, something powerful happens. The person speaking feels valued, respected, and safe, and that feeling is what transforms relationships, teams, and even businesses. Think about the last time you felt truly heard. It probably wasn't when someone nodded politely. It was when you spoke and the other person wasn't distracted, they weren't rushing you, they weren't waiting for their turn. They were there, fully present. That moment stays with you, doesn't it? It's rare, and because it's rare, it's valuable. People remember how it feels to be heard, and they gravitate toward those who give them that gift. Simon Sinek often reminds us that trust is built in small moments. Listening is one of those moments. In fact, listening may be the single most powerful way to earn trust. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't listen, you won't connect. And connection is what gives your knowledge meaning. Leaders who listen don't just gather information, they gather loyalty. Employees don't leave companies, they leave managers who don't listen. Friends don't drift apart because of distance, they drift apart because they no longer feel heard. Even in families, the absence of listening creates walls of silence and resentment. But when you listen deeply, those walls crumble, you bridge gaps, you restore trust. You increase your value not just as a professional, but as a human being. Listening to understand also sharpens your perspective. When you slow down and pay attention, you catch details others miss. You notice not only words, but tone, pauses, and emotions between the lines. This kind of listening gives you insight that can't be bought. It allows you to respond with wisdom instead of reflex. And wisdom, unlike quick replies, carries weight. Of course, listening this way takes practice. It means resisting the urge to interrupt. It means holding back your advice until you're sure the other person feels understood. It means asking clarifying questions like, "What I'm hearing is this? Is that right?" That small step alone shows humility and care, two qualities that instantly raise your value in any interaction. The world is loud. Everyone wants to speak, to be seen, to be acknowledged. But few people want to do the harder work of listening. That's why those who master it stand out. When you choose to listen to understand, you do more than hear words. You honor people. And when people feel honored, they trust you, they open up to you, and they follow you. So the next time you're in a conversation, ask yourself, am I listening to reply? Or am I listening to understand? That single shift could be the difference between being just another voice in the noise or being the person others turn to, remember, and value. In our culture, we glorify moments of brilliance, the viral success story, the overnight sensation, the one hit wonder that captures everyone's attention for a fleeting moment. We love those stories because they sparkle. They make us believe that all it takes is one extraordinary act to secure a legacy. But here's the truth that life, leadership, and success keep teaching us. Brilliance may get attention, but consistency earns trust. Think about the people you truly value in your life, not the celebrities or icons you admire from a distance, but the ones you depend on every single day. Chances are it's not because they dazzled you once with a grand gesture. It's because they showed up for you again and again in small ways that built a foundation of reliability. You trust them because they've proven that who they are today will be who they are tomorrow. That's the essence of consistency. Occasional brilliance can inspire, but it doesn't sustain. Imagine an athlete who performs one spectacular game, but never trains, never practices, and never repeats the performance. They'll be remembered for a moment, but forgotten in history. Now consider the athlete who shows up every morning at 5 a.m., rain or shine, training with discipline. They may not always be the most naturally gifted, but over time they surpass talent with persistence. Champions are rarely the most brilliant at a single moment. They are the most consistent across countless moments. Simon Sinek often reminds us that trust is not built in one grand event. It's built in the small, repeated actions we take every day. The same applies to increasing your value. If you want people to count on you, if you want to stand out in your career or relationships, it won't be because of one flash of excellence. It will be because you cultivated a habit of consistency that others could lean on. Consistency is powerful because it compounds. Small actions repeated over time produce extraordinary results. Reading 10 pages a day may not seem like much, but over a year, it's the difference between someone who grows and someone who stagnates. Exercising for 20 minutes daily may feel insignificant, but over months and years, it transforms not only your body, but your discipline. Showing gratitude regularly builds stronger bonds than saying thank you once in a while. Brilliance shines, but consistency glows. Brilliance is a firework. It explodes in a moment of beauty, but then fades into the night sky. Consistency is the rising sun. It may seem slow, steady, and predictable, but it brings life, warmth, and clarity every single day. And while fireworks impress us for seconds, the sun sustains us for a lifetime. This is not to say brilliance doesn't matter. We all need moments of creativity, breakthrough, and inspiration. But brilliance without consistency is fragile. It sparks interest, but it cannot carry the weight of trust. Consistency, on the other hand, may not always be glamorous, but it is the backbone of excellence. So if you want to increase your value at work, in relationships, in life, don't chase moments of brilliance at the expense of reliability. Instead, commit to the discipline of showing up again and again. Over time, you will not only build trust, but also create a reputation that outlasts fleeting sparks of genius. Remember, this occasional brilliance can make people notice you. Consistency makes them believe in you. And in the long run, belief is far more valuable than applause. If there is one habit that can transform relationships, elevate leadership, and expand your personal influence in ways you cannot imagine, it is the habit of gratitude. Gratitude is not just good manners or polite behavior. It is a multiplier. It takes what you already have and makes it grow. Your trust, your relationships, your opportunities, and yes, even your own sense of worth. Think about it: when someone genuinely thanks you for your effort, doesn't it change how you feel about that work? Suddenly, the ordinary becomes meaningful. The simple act of acknowledgement can make you want to show up stronger, contribute more, and invest deeper in that relationship. This is why gratitude is one of the most powerful, hidden habits for instantly increasing your value. It shifts the energy of every interaction you touch. Leaders who practice gratitude stand apart. Simon Sinek often emphasizes that leadership is not about being in charge, but about taking care of those in your charge. Gratitude is how you show people they are cared for. It communicates that their effort matters, that their role is seen, and that their presence is valued. When people feel valued, they don't just work harder, they work with heart. Gratitude creates loyalty, and loyalty is the kind of value that no paycheck can buy. Gratitude also multiplies value in your personal life. In a world where complaints and criticisms are louder than appreciation, the person who consistently notices the good becomes magnetic. Gratitude makes you the kind of friend, partner, or colleague that people want around. It doesn't just improve how people see you, it improves how they feel when they are with you. And feelings leave deeper impressions than words ever will. But here's the part most people miss: gratitude doesn't just multiply the value others place on you, it multiplies the value you place on yourself. When you make it a habit to pause, to acknowledge the blessings you've been given, you start to see abundance where before you saw lack. You carry yourself differently. You walk into a room less focused on what you don't have and more confident in the richness of what you already bring. That inner shift radiates outward and people sense it. Gratitude breeds confidence without arrogance, strength without ego. And let's be clear, gratitude is not weakness. It doesn't mean you overlook flaws, ignore problems, or pretend everything is perfect. True gratitude is discipline. It's the ability to notice good in the middle of struggle, to appreciate effort even when outcomes fall short, and to say thank you. In a world where entitlement is often the default, gratitude is not passive, it is active, intentional, and powerful. The person who practices gratitude consistently will always stand out because gratitude is rare. It's easy to criticize, it's common to complain, But it takes character to look someone in the eye and say, I see you. I value what you've done. Thank you. And that simple phrase multiplies trust, respect, and influence far beyond what words alone can measure. So if you want to instantly increase your value in your career, in your relationships, in your leadership, start here. Start by noticing. Start by thanking. Start by letting people know that they matter, because gratitude multiplies value. And when you multiply the value of others, you multiply your own in return. When we think of leadership, many people imagine authority, control, or power. But true leadership isn't about titles or positions. It's about influence, guidance, and the ability to inspire. And one of the most overlooked qualities that separates good leaders from great ones is optimism. Not blind positivity, not ignoring reality, but a steady, resilient belief that tomorrow can be better than today. That belief is contagious, and when leaders embody it, they elevate everyone around them. Optimism in leadership is not about pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It is not about sugarcoating problems or dismissing real challenges. Rather, it is the discipline of choosing hope when it would be easier to give in to despair. It is the ability to look at a setback and still say, "I will find a way through this." This attitude doesn't remove obstacles, but it gives people the courage to face them together. Consider what happens when a team faces difficulty. Budgets are cut, deadlines move closer, or unexpected crises hit. If a leader responds with fear, panic, or negativity, the team mirrors that energy. People withdraw, creativity dries up, and doubt spreads like wildfire. But when a leader carries optimism, the team sees possibility. They may still feel the weight of the challenge, but they also feel the belief that their effort is meaningful and their future is worth building. Optimism acts like a compass, pointing everyone toward progress, even when the road is unclear. The reason optimism works as a leadership habit is because it creates trust. People want to follow someone who believes in something beyond the immediate storm. Optimism communicates confidence not only in the vision, but in the people themselves. A leader who says, "I believe in you, I believe in us, and I believe in what we are building," instantly raises the emotional temperature of the group. When people feel believed in, they push harder, create more, and refuse to give up. Another reason optimism matters is that it fuels resilience. Every organization, every relationship, every personal journey will encounter setbacks. What determines success is not avoiding failure, but rising after it. Optimistic leaders don't see failure as the end of the road. They see it as a lesson, a stepping stone. They frame obstacles not as barriers, but as opportunities to learn, adapt, and grow stronger. This perspective helps teams recover faster because they are not stuck in regret. They are moving toward possibility. Optimism also sparks innovation. When people feel hopeful, they are willing to experiment, to take risks, and to share ideas without fear. Negativity closes doors, optimism opens them. A team infused with optimism will explore new solutions, while a team weighed down by pessimism will cling to the familiar, even if the familiar no longer works. Leadership rooted in optimism creates a culture where creativity thrives. Most importantly, optimism is not a one-time act. It is a habit. It must be practiced daily, especially when conditions are difficult. Leaders must learn to anchor themselves in gratitude, purpose, and vision so that their optimism is not fragile. It's easy to be hopeful when everything goes well, but the leaders who stand out are the ones who maintain optimism when nothing seems certain. That is when optimism becomes not just a personal trait, but a leadership responsibility. In the end, optimism is not about ignoring reality. It is about choosing the most empowering version of reality. It is about telling a story that moves people forward rather than holds them back. And when leaders live this way, they don't just inspire productivity, they inspire loyalty, resilience, and belief. Because optimism, practiced daily, is not just a mindset. It is a leadership habit. And it is the habit that has the power to change not only organizations, but lives. Most people go through life chasing goals that aren't truly theirs. They follow the script handed to them, earn a degree, get a job, buy a house, climb the ladder. And they measure their worth by titles, possessions, or applause. But Simon Sinek reminds us of something deeper. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Living by your why is about aligning your actions with your deeper purpose, the thing that fuels you beyond money, beyond recognition, beyond temporary wins. Your why is not about what you have. It's about what drives you when everything else falls apart. It's the reason you wake up in the morning, the thing that makes struggle meaningful instead of empty. Without a why, effort feels heavy and success feels hollow. But when you live by your why, even small victories carry weight because they are steps on a path that matters to you. Think about the people who inspire you most: leaders, mentors, even close friends. You remember them not because they had perfect RA summaries or flawless achievements, but because they lived in a way that felt authentic. They stood for something and you could feel it. Living by your why doesn't mean you'll always be understood, but it does mean you'll always be remembered for what you represent. Here's the truth. When you live by your why, you stop competing and start contributing. Instead of asking, how do I get ahead? You begin asking, how do I make a difference? And ironically, those who live by their why often do get ahead because people trust them, believe in them, and want to follow them. Value is not created by chasing approval. It's created by standing in alignment with your purpose. But let's be clear, discovering your why is not a one-time exercise. It's not a slogan you put on a wall or a phrase you memorize. It is something you uncover by paying attention to the patterns in your life. What are the moments when you feel most alive? What are the times when you forget the clock because you're so absorbed? What do people thank you for again and again? Hidden in those patterns is your why. Living by it requires courage, because once you know your why, you have a choice: continue living for what looks safe or begin living for what feels true. That shift is uncomfortable. It may disappoint people who expected you to walk another path. But here's the gift: you will begin to attract people who share your values, who support your vision, and who see the real you. And when that happens, your influence expands far beyond what you could imagine. Living by your why also means leading differently. Leadership is not about authority, it's about clarity. When you make decisions through the lens of your why, people trust that you're not just chasing profit or applause. They know you're building something bigger than yourself. That clarity inspires loyalty in a way no paycheck or promotion ever could. So I ask you, if today were the last day people heard from you, what would they remember? Would they say you lived for titles, or that you lived for something deeper? Living by your why means living in a way that your actions tell a story others want to retell. Because in the end, the greatest value you bring to this world is not the position you hold, but the purpose you embody. Titles fade, money comes and goes, but a life lived by your why creates ripples long after you're gone. And that, my friends, is the highest form of value you can ever give. When we talk about transformation, too often we imagine it as something dramatic, a leap, a breakthrough, a single defining moment that changes everything. But the truth is, life doesn't usually shift in explosions. It shifts in quiet patterns, in the choices we make every single day. The difference between someone who inspires us and someone who fades into the background is rarely a matter of luck or raw talent. It's the sum of small habits, repeated consistently, that create lasting impact. Think about it: brushing your teeth doesn't feel like a big deal today, but neglect it for weeks and the consequences are undeniable. The same principle applies to our personal growth, our leadership, our relationships, even our careers. One kind word, one follow through, one extra effort. These things may seem invisible in the moment, but they accumulate. Like drops of water, they carve stone. Small habits matter because they are accessible. Anyone can start them. You don't need wealth, privilege, or perfect conditions to practice saying thank you, to take an extra 5 minutes to listen, or to commit to showing up on time. These micro commitments signal something deeper. They show who you are when nobody's watching. And over time, people come to trust that version of you, the consistent one, the one who does the small things well. Consider leaders you admire. What makes them memorable? It's rarely the one big speech or the one massive achievement. It's the steady pattern of behaviors, the way they greet people by name, the way they keep promises, the way they remain calm under pressure. These are habits. They don't require extraordinary skill, but they produce extraordinary influence. Here's the beautiful part: small habits don't just impact others. They shape us from within. Each time you practice discipline, Each time you choose patience over irritation, each time you decide to listen instead of interrupt, you're rewiring yourself. You're strengthening the muscles of character. And just like physical exercise, the results compound. What feels insignificant today becomes the foundation of strength tomorrow. Simon Sinek often speaks about how trust is built, not in a single grand gesture, but in consistent deposits of care and reliability. Imagine a jar. Every small habit you practice, showing up, listening, expressing gratitude, is like dropping a coin into that jar. At first, it looks empty, but keep going, and over time, the jar fills. People will look at you and see value, but what they're really seeing is the weight of countless small habits that built your character. The challenge is patience, because small habits don't give us instant applause. They don't always get noticed right away. But that's precisely what makes them powerful. They're not for show, they're for substance. And substance always outlasts spectacle. So ask yourself, what small habits define you? Do you start your day with intention or drift into it? Do you leave conversations making others feel seen or overlooked? Do you consistently practice gratitude, or only when it's convenient? The answers to these questions are shaping your impact more than any big achievement ever will. In the end, greatness isn't built in a moment. It's built in the 1,000 unnoticed choices of daily life. That's the secret. Small habits create lasting impact, not because they are dramatic, but because they are sustainable. And the legacy you leave, the way people remember you, will be the result of those habits. So start small, start today, and never underestimate the quiet power of daily choices. They may be hidden now, but they are shaping the future you're walking into.